Okay, I just finished polishing this section above the fender here using Menzerna 3000, which is a fine cut polish, and a black 5.5 inch flat face, a Lake Country polishing pad, and I'm on the speed setting 3 on the Flex, which is 1200 RPM. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and wipe this residue off, and I'm going to show you how to jewel the paint. Now if you're going to jewel paint, a couple things you need to know. First of all, you need to work surgically clean. Okay, so that means all the product in between any crevice in the area you're buffing needs to be removed, so as you're jeweling the paint, you don't pull that into the process and then grind that into the paint. The whole idea of jeweling the paint is to squeeze as much shine, gloss, and clarity as possible out of the paint before you go to the sealing step where you're going to apply a wax, a paint sealant, or some type of coating. So now I've removed my residue off here, and to tell you the truth, that looks pretty good. And that's one of the things you also need to understand. Jeweling is an optional step. If you're doing the compounding and polishing step correctly, the paint should already look pretty good. And that's why you won't see a dramatic difference between before and after of a section of paint properly machine polished and then jeweled. It's just not going to happen. You would see a dramatic difference between an abused finish and then after you compound and polish it, but not between machine polishing and jeweling. Now to do the jeweling step, I want to use an ultra fine cut polish, something like the Menzerna 4500. So first let me give this a shake. Then I'm going to lay a strip of product down here on the paint. This is called a bead product. Then I'm going to take off my black Lake Country polishing pad and switch over to a brand new 5.5 inch blue finishing pad. Note also I'm using a flexible backing plate. So you want everything working for you. So you don't want a stiff backing plate, you want something that's flexible. And for this, I'm going to bump my RPM down to the #1 setting, which is 600 RPM. And then instead of moving at a fairly brisk arm speed, I'm going to slow my arm speed way down and jewel that paint to a high gloss. That would look like this. Pick up my bead, spread my product out over the same section I just buffed, and then with just light pressure, I'm going to repolish that same section for a couple of passes. Then I'm going to remove the pressure and do it again. Okay, at this point, I'm not actually putting any pressure on the head of the polisher. I'm just using my fingers here to help me to guide it. So very light pressure, very slow hand movement for arm speed, and a low RPM. Okay, now we'll wipe that residue off, turn to a clean, dry side, gently wipe this off. And as you're working through the paint polishing process, every step, you need to bring up the level of your carefulness in the way you touch the paint, because you can get the paint so flawless that just the way you touch it could actually mar it if you're not careful or using high quality products. There you go. That section of paint has now been compounded, polished, and jeweled, and we're ready to put a coat of wax on. Now before I move on to another step, I'd want to clean my pad, okay, and get any residue off there. Normally I use a terry cloth towel for that, but I'll show you how I would do that with a microfiber. I wrap it around my finger, stick this against my leg, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this against it, and I'm going to turn my finger. Let me pull a little higher. So I'm going to push this against the pad and turn this as it's running. And it's going to pull any excess product off there so I don't mix up the used or spent product with fresh product, because again, jeweling paint is about working surgically clean, slow and methodical. There you go. So I've removed the excess product. I'm ready to use that pad again. And I also suggest if you're going to try to jewel out a car, have plenty of finishing pads, and switch over to a clean pad when you get ready to start a new major section of the car. So that's how you jewel the rotary buffer. One of these days I'll show you how to use the other tools too. Thanks.